Imagine you're running a pro football team. You've got this situation. Four really talented quarterbacks, all needing reps, all needing evaluation.
Right.
But you've only got 3 preseason games. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the exact puzzle facing the Cleveland Browns this 2025 preseason.
It's a heck of a challenge, yeah. High stakes, really.
So today, we're going to dive deep into how the Browns coaches might actually tackle this. You know, with Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Shedeur Sanders, and Dillon Gabriel all in the mix. Our goal here is to unpack the strategies, the thinking behind managing these precious preseason snaps. How do you ensure it's fair? How do you build chemistry? How do you keep guys healthy? All in just 3 games.
And it's not just about being fair, is it? It's deeply strategic. It's about development, seeing who performs when the lights are on, even in preseason.
Exactly. The core problem, really, is how do you make every single drive, every snap, every throw count? How do you get meaningful information on each guy?
It really is an immense strategic puzzle.
Yeah.
Because you have such a finite number of plays, right? You've got to squeeze every bit of information out of each one.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a zero-sum game with reps, which puts huge pressure on the coaches to balance, what they need right now versus the long-term picture for each player.
Okay, so with that pressure cooker in mind, coaches basically have a few blueprints they could follow. Let's start with maybe the most traditional one, the one trying to simulate a real game day for everybody.
Ah, right.
The game-by-game starter rotation. We're calling it the equal starts format.
Makes sense.
The idea is pretty simple. Each quarterback gets to start at least one preseason game. They lead the offense from the first snap, get that whole NFL Sunday feel.
Give them the keys from the jump.
So the breakdown could look something like this. Game 1, maybe Kenny Pickett gets the first half. Dillon Gabriel takes the second.
Okay.
Game 2, Joe Flacco, the veteran, gets the first half, and then Shedeur Sanders comes in for the second half.
Gotcha. The rookie gets his shot after the vet settles things.
Then Game 3 becomes this kind of quarter-by-quarter showcase. Maybe Sanders starts the first, Gabriel the second, Pickett the third, and Flacco closes it out in the fourth.
Right. So what's fascinating there, I think, is you get these really clear evaluation windows. You see how each guy handles the scripted plays, the crowd noise, maybe facing the other team's starting defense, at least for a bit.
Yeah.
It's about seeing that starter caliber composure. How do they handle the pressure of opening a game?
That's a great point. It really tests that metal coaches talk about. Can you handle the opening script? Can you lead from drive 1?
But the flip side is, while you get that snapshot, it's isolated, isn't it? Each QB might be facing different defensive looks, different game situations.
True.
So making a direct apples-to-apples comparison across all 4 based just on this format, it's tricky. Coaches have to weigh that strong first impression against needing a consistent benchmark.
Yeah, that's the balancing act. It gives you that immediate pressure test, but maybe not the full picture compared side by side. Okay, so that equal starts method throws them right in. But what if the coaches feel like, well, one half isn't really enough for a quarterback to settle in, find a rhythm, adjust to the game speed?
Yeah, that's a valid concern. Sometimes it takes a few drives.
Right. So that brings us to a slightly different idea. The 2-quarter tandem rotation. Let's call it the half-and-half format.
Okay. More sustained time.
Exactly. The concept is just what it sounds like. Give each QB a full half, let them settle down, build some chemistry with the guys on the field, really adapt to the flow. It's more about evaluating sustained performance, maybe.
I see. Less about the initial splash, more about consistency over a couple of quarters.
Yeah. So for this one, Game 1 could be Pickett for the first half, Flacco for the second.
Yeah.
Game 2, maybe Sanders gets the first half, Gabriel the second.
Right. Pairing the younger guys, pairing the vets more experience.
And then Game 3, maybe back to quarters to get everyone some final reps.
Yeah.
Pickett first, Gabriel second, Flacco third, Sanders fourth. Something like that.
Connecting this to the bigger picture. This approach really lets quarterbacks, like you said, get into a rhythm. A full half gives you more chances for longer drives, more third downs, maybe some red zone work. It lets a QB actually establish some leadership on the field over a longer period.
That makes sense.
So the coaching strategy here seems geared towards evaluation within the game flow, seeing how they handle scripted plays versus when things go off script, how they lead, how they adjust when the defense starts throwing different looks at them over, say, 30 minutes of game time.
Yeah, rhythm is just so crucial for a quarterback, isn't it? It lets them anticipate, build confidence, really command the huddle and the drive.
Absolutely.
This format gives them that chance to find it, which probably gives coaches a clearer view of their ability to sustain offense, not just make a flash play. It's less about the burst, more about the build.
Right, building and maintaining momentum.
Okay, now, for the coaches who really love the numbers, the analytics.
Ah, the data-driven approach.
Exactly. This next format changes the focus. It's all about precise data collection, ensuring equal opportunities, not necessarily equal clock time.
Interesting distinction.
We're calling it the drive-based equal rotation, or the Preseason format.
Okay.
The idea is basic but important. Every quarterback gets the same number of drives. Doesn't matter if one drive is 3 plays and a punt, and the next is 10 plays and a touchdown. The number of chances is equal.
So you're leveling the playing field purely based on opportunity count.
Precisely. So our source lays it out like this. Each game, you divide the drives evenly. Game 1, Pickett gets 1 to 3. Flacco gets 4 to 6. Sanders 7 to 9. Gabriel gets 10 plus.
Okay, straightforward rotation.
In game 2, you rotate the order. Flacco starts with 1-3. Sanders 4-6. Gabriel 7-9. Pickett 10 plus.
Keeps it fair across games too.
And game 3, rotate again. Sanders 1-3. Gabriel 4-6. Pickett 7-9. Flacco 10 plus.
You know, this really forces coaches to ask that fundamental question. What do you value more? Raw time on the field or the actual number of chances each guy gets to run the offense? Yeah. This method guarantees equal opportunities, and that lets you do a really deep dive on the efficiency metrics, yards per drive, scoring percentage per drive, QB rating per drive. It accounts for the fact that one guy might get lucky with field position or unlucky with penalties on his drives.
Right.
The number of attempts is the same. However, the potential downside is you might miss seeing how a quarterback handles, say, a long clock grinding drive because maybe their drives just happen to be quick scores or 3 and outs.
That's a really good point. You lose some of that game situation context maybe, like managing a long drive. But for a staff that really trusts the stats,
oh yeah,
this gives them pure objective numbers. Yards per attempt, completion percentage, TDs versus INTs, all based on an equal number of starting points. It's ideal for a deep QB room where you want objective stats to help differentiate guys.
Especially if you're trying to cut through perception or seniority bias. Just look at the drive data.
Exactly. Okay, one more main format to consider. This one really leans into the competition aspect.
Ah, turning up the heat.
Yeah. It basically turns the preseason into a high-stakes proving ground. Designed to simulate pressure, reward results. We're calling it the competitive rotation with incentives, or the performance ladder format.
Performance ladder. I like that. Earn your rep.
Pretty much. Quarterbacks rotate, but how well they play directly impacts their future playing time. It forces them to treat every series like it could be their last.
Oof. Intense.
So here's how it might work. Game 1 is simple enough, maybe a quarter each. Flacco, then Pickett, then Sanders, then Gabriel. Get everyone's feet wet.
Okay, baseline established.
Then game 2 gets interesting. Maybe you alternate every 2 drives in the first half between Pickett and Sanders. Then alternate every 2 drives in the second half between Flacco and Gabriel. Creates mini battles within the game.
Right, head-to-head almost.
Then game 3 is where the ladder really comes in. The QB who performed best over the first 2 games. They start game 3.
Rewarding performance.
Okay. The second and third quarters
Yep.
rotated between the 2 guys who were kind of in the middle, performance-wise, and the fourth quarter. That goes to the QB, who's had the fewest reps overall, or maybe the one the coaches feel they still need one last deep look at.
Wow. Okay, so this is where that mental toughness really gets tested, isn't it?
Totally.
Coaches can track not just stats, but improvement, confidence levels, how guys respond when the stakes feel genuinely real, even in preseason. It injects that playoff-like pressure super early.
Yeah.
You got to wonder who rises to that occasion, who gets tight. That tells you a lot. This strategy seems perfect for a staff wanting to challenge guys mentally and separate the depth chart based purely on merit under fire.
It really puts the pressure on not just arm talent, but can you deliver when you know your next snap depends on it? It's how you might identify the real difference makers.
The ones who thrive, not just survive, under pressure.
Okay, so we've got these 4 distinct formats. But it's not just about picking one, is it? There are other big things coaches have to think about, strategic layers on top of any rotation.
Oh, absolutely. The format is just the starting point.
Like offensive line depth, that's huge, right? You can't properly evaluate a young QB like Gabriel or Sanders if they're running for their lives behind the third-string O-line.
Exactly. That's not a fair shake. You have to try and pair the QBs, especially the less experienced ones, with at least a competent, somewhat stable line unit. Maybe not the starters the whole time, but not throwing them to the wolves either.
Yeah, give them a fighting chance. Then there's skill player groupings.
Yeah.
How do you make sure one QB isn't stuck throwing to backups while another gets the top receivers?
That's crucial too. You have to rotate the running backs, the receivers, the tight ends, along with the quarterbacks, mix and match a bit. So you get a sense of how each QB works with different guys, distributes the ball, builds chemistry. You don't want the evaluation skewed because one QB only played with the potential practice squad guys.
Right. And what about injury risk? Especially with a guy like Joe Flacco, the established veteran.
Yeah, that's a major factor. Flacco probably doesn't need a ton of preseason reps to show what he can do, and you want to keep him healthy.
Keep your miles off him.
Exactly. Whereas the younger guys, Sanders and Gabriel, they might actually benefit from more reps, higher volume, just for the experience and evaluation. So it's about being smart, tailoring the exposure.
Makes sense. And coaches also need to deliberately create specific game situations. Right. Don't just let the game happen, but maybe manufacture some 2-minute drills, red zone scenarios, third and longs.
Oh, definitely. Simulating those high leverage moments is key. Anybody can look good throwing in a clean pocket on first down.
True.
How does a QB perform in the chaos of a 2-minute drill? How sharp are they in the compressed space of the red zone? How do they handle third and long pressure? That tells you so much more about their decision making under duress.
Yeah, it reveals the real stuff.
Yeah.
And finally, what about chemistry development? Building those connections.
That's the human element, right? You need to give each quarterback some consistent reps with at least one or two key skill players, maybe a specific receiver or tight end across the 3 games,
Gotcha.
just to see how those connections build. Can they get on the same page? Read body language. It's not just individual talent, it's about building a cohesive unit.
So many moving parts. Okay, so given all these options, all these considerations,
Yeah.
what's the smart play for the Browns in 2025 with this specific group of 4 QBs?
Well, looking at the Browns, they're likely thinking about the future, maybe with Sanders, but also need reliable backup play now, plus managing Flacco's workload. A pure version of any one format might not be perfect.
So maybe a mix?
I think a hybrid approach probably makes the most strategic sense for them. Blend the best parts of a couple of these formats.
Okay, like what?
Maybe take the game-by-game starter rotation idea, let each QB start one game, get that opening drive evaluation, see how they handle being the guy for a half. That's valuable from format 1.
Right, get that starter feel.
But then combine it with the drive-based equal rotation philosophy from format 3. Meaning, even though starts are rotated, you meticulously track and balance the total number of drives each QB gets across all 3 games.
Ah, I see. So everyone gets a start, but you still ensure the actual number of opportunities, the reps, stays fair and balanced by counting drives overall.
Exactly. It gives you the starter test and the objective, data-driven fairness of equal opportunities. It seems like a good way to balance evaluating composure, getting data, managing vets, and developing young guys.
That makes a lot of sense. It shows how these real-world coaching decisions often aren't just picking option A or B, but blending ideas to fit a very specific, complex situation. You're optimizing for multiple goals at once.
Precisely.
Wow. This whole deep dive really highlights that, in a league where every single snap matters, how a team handles something like preseason QB reps. It says a lot about their priorities.
It really does. It's a window into their planning.
For the Browns in 2025, preseason isn't just warm-ups. It's crucial evaluation, it's injury preparation, and it's about building trust under center.
Huge.
Absolutely huge.
And you've got these 4 compelling storylines all tangled up. Flacco's experience, Pickett's development, Sanders' potential stardom, Gabriel's underdog journey.
4 different narratives playing out.
Yeah. So a smart rotation, like that hybrid idea, it doesn't just help them pick a week 1 starter, if that's even the goal. Think about how these choices, made under this intense microscope over just, 9 or 10 quarters of football, how those decisions can genuinely set the direction for the entire franchise for years. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What kind of leader actually emerges strongest from a pressure cooker like this? And what does that signal about the team's future path?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Who thrives, and what does that mean long-term?